It is my privilege to be on this webinar with fellow speakers and trainer from the SG60 um, Showcase. I am a founder of a few businesses, including Red Box Events and more recently Red Box Consultancy, which focuses on fingerprint profiling to help professionals uncover their inborn potentials and challenges. Work aside, I serve as the immediate past president of IWFCI Singapore, which is a global business women platform. And I'm also the incoming president of one of the Rotary clubs in Singapore. So friends and associates, upon hearing what I do, always ask me this question. Annie, do you have 48 hours in a day? All right, so I don't. I also only have 24 hours. It's just that I simply try to make sure that the 16 hours that I'm awake is spent on what matters, and I still have time for Netflix. All right, but have I always been this effective? The answer is yes, because it is in my nature to be doing things effectively, which brings to which brings us to my webinar topic, nature versus nurture. I want you to think, or rather pause and think for a moment. When was the last time you saw a top performer in your company leaves? You probably ask yourself, why? I mean, they were perfect for the role. During the interview process, everything went on so smoothly. But were they? What if the problem wasn't their skill or their attitude, but fundamental mismatch in their deepest wiring? We spend fortune on skills training, on leadership programs, on team building retreats, but we often ignore the most important thing, the innate human blueprint. We try to fit square pegs into round holes, and then we surprise ourselves by wondering why they leave. Why do they get burnout? My team and I, we spend time helping people understand their innate blueprint. This isn't a personality test. It is a scientific analysis of our biometrics data. The patterns on our fingertips are a mirror of our neurological pathways, and they tell us who we were born to be. So, as I was saying earlier on, I do things effectively because one of the prints on my right thumb, I think, all right, shows that I am born to be doing things effectively. At MindMark, we also find that there are 5 core blueprints. We could be an empathetic pleaser, a driven achiever, a logical mediator, the visionary enthusiast, or maybe perhaps the lawyer defender. There's no one good profile or bad profile. We are just who our blueprint or our innate blueprint shows us. One of these blueprints brings a unique superpower to the table, but it also, of course, brings to mind our unique blind spot. For example, as a pleaser, they will be a fantastic team player, but if you put them in a very high conflict role, they will find themselves burning out because they can't please everyone. As an achiever, they can drive project all the way to the finishing line. But if you put them in a situation where they requires endless contemplation, they will find themselves getting very impatient because they can't achieve things. The problem is we never had a reliable way to see these innate truths. We only see the learned behavior, the persona molded by their environment, by their education, and the experience that they garner over the year. Now there is a system to unlock this blueprint, and we call it MindMark. All right, now comes the little fun part. All right, so let's try, or rather, let you try to see whether by looking at your fingertips, are you able to see the ridges on your fingertips? Okay, you may want to grab your mobile phone if it's within your reach, or you may want to grab a magnifying glass if you can. Just zoom in to your fingertips right here. Okay, you can see. Just zoom into your fingertips and see whether are you able to see the ridges that's on your fingertips. Let's just take like maybe 30 seconds. Just take a phone on your camera, zoom it all the way. The easiest finger to try to identify is probably your index, right? Because it's the most index or your middle finger or your ring finger, right? That's the easiest to see. So just try to zoom in and see whether are you able to see the fine lines that is on your fingertips. These will tell you who you are. All right. So if you are struggling, no worries. I struggled when I first started, so there's nothing to worry about. Yeah. Okay. So if you're able to see the riches, I would like to share that there are only 5 unique prints in the whole world. Right? I know you may look that it's just strange lines and curved lines or straight lines and all that, but there are only 5 types. So do you see more loops? Okay, or do you see more whorls? Whorls are probably the easiest to identify because there's those circles, right? Or how about tended arches or arches? And perhaps some of you may have this yin-yang looking ridges on your fingertips. So each of these print or prints combined will let you know your profile, and it will also let you know your employee's profile. So as an employee, or rather as an employer, wouldn't you be curious what is your employee's profile? Because this is their innate blueprint. So if you are able to identify all 10 prints, okay, when we print, we see all 10 fingerprints. And do you think there is a single profile, or perhaps you could be a mixed profile? In the world, people with 2 profiles form the largest group at 52.8%, and those with 4 or 5 profiles form only about 2.4%. And besides knowing the profile of your employees, you would also be able to identify their inborn potentials in terms of doing, leading, organizing, performing, communicating, supporting, motivating, mentoring, innovating, and catalyzing. So as you can see from there, I have a unique print on my right thumb, which is doing, which means I'm born to be a doer. And since we know the potential, we naturally will also be able to identify the challenges. All right, so the challenges can be inhibiting, doubting, opposing, hiding, unspeaking, withdrawing, enduring, feeling guilty, undervaluing, and even surrendering. So by knowing all this, how does it help? I'll give you a very quick example. One of my clients, she has a print on her leading finger, but at the same time, she also has a challenge in her unspeaking finger. So what does it mean? So as a leader, can you be unspeaking? The answer is no. So she struggled. She wants to make sure that people follow her, but she cannot communicate it well enough to her team. So her team gets frustrated because they tell me she's always trying to do the best for all of us, but she doesn't tell us what she wants to do. So the fact that we can identify that is her challenge, then we will have to coach her and guide her to ensure she finds her voice so that she can lead her team more effectively. When we align, and in this case, when we align the individual's inborn blueprint, complete with letting them know their potentials and challenges with their role, the impact is not just better, it can be exponential, or rather, it is exponential. The statistics we see are clear. We can get 3 times higher retention because people are in their roles that they feel the most natural to them. Therefore, we will reduce burnout. There's also 40% faster project delivery because team members' strength, for example, an achiever's drive and a defender's attention to detail, are now working in harmony and not against each other. And there's also 20% reduction in team conflict because when people understand that their colleagues' behavior is driven by their blueprint and not an intentional slight, they will build empathy instead of resentment. This isn't about fitting a person to a job. It is about empowering people to become the most authentic and effective version of themselves. Your organization is definitely filled with untapped potentials. These are people with the inborn ability to lead, to innovate, and to build. They simply need a map to find their way. The greatest leader don't try to be somebody they are not. They lead with their authentic self. And the most effective teams are made up of individuals who are celebrated for their unique strength and not judged for their differences. Many of you in this room have used profiling tools before, all right, and of course, with good reason. They are valuable in helping people understand their conscious preference and their learned behaviors and their skills. They show you who the person has become. But what if you can see who they were born to be? MindMark is not just another of these tools. It is not based on just questionnaire. It is not just based on self-assessment. It is a biometric analysis that reveals your innate, unchangeable blueprint. It shows you the fundamental wiring that guides a person's life before the world even got the chance to change them. The most profound service you can offer is to help someone understand themselves at this deepest level. The most powerful team is the one that knows its collective blueprint. So, my question to you is this: are you ready to go beyond the profile? Are you ready to add the missing piece to your talent strategy and give your leaders and staff the ultimate gift of unlocking their blueprint and become true key performers? At Red Box Consultancy, our SOAR program starts by getting your team to take our MindMark self-assessment, followed by the MindMark fingerprint analysis. Our framework doesn't replace any profiling tool. It basically helps complete the picture for your employee so they know how they are wired to operate. We will journey with your team to uncover their inner blueprint and guide them along to tap on their full potentials while navigating their challenges. Let's hear, and we will, of course, work with your team, work with your organization to synergize your organization directions with the program. Well, let's just take a quick, look at a video of some of our past participants.
In a nutshell, participating in this program helped me uncover the potential areas which I wasn't so clear of. Okay, like for example, I'm more tuned towards maybe taking action which I wasn't so aware of, and also areas which I have to work on, such as like my challenge areas regarding, for example, guilt. Yeah. So these were all new insights that actually I feel will help me develop a lot as a person, a lot as a leader, and then by overcoming this, I'll actually be able to achieve so much more. Thank you.
First and foremost, I want to say a big thank you for having me here. Truly, I feel my one word for today is liberation. Why? Because we really discover through the MindMark assessment, the thumbprint, we discover ourselves at a very deep unconscious level. And why liberation? Because it cuts all the noise. And then I realized that all the stories that I used to tell myself, which seems to be a long road, is actually very clearly, more clearly defined. So I would like to say, come and find out for yourself, discover your innate unconscious self, which is the true you, so that we can have the option of being the best that we can be.
So indeed, as shared by our participant, we try to unearth the natural behavior to help predict a flow because we are aware that when we matched the person's inborn or innate potential, we are able to help them function better because they are operating at what is their deepest wiring. All right. And we're also aware that with proper retention, it improves us. With retention, it improves when you know that what is fulfilling to the employee. Some of them seek certain intrinsic rewards, and we need to ensure that their career paths are designed not just around promotion, but also around their fundamental nature. And for succession planning, we can help them identify future leaders whose core wiring is ideally suited for senior management roles, regardless of current experiences. Our MindMark program will help the individual by providing you with the individual user manual so that you can coach the person, not just who they are, but we will coach them based on who they are and not just the person that they appear to be. So in closing, we at Red Box Consultancy believe that the greatest return on investment we can make isn't just about technology. It is the profound understanding of the people who build our companies. So to know more about MindMark and our SOAR program, I invite you to connect with me. You can scan the QR code and you will be able to have access to my contact details and my social media links. Thank you very much.